Hello, I'm Gran Maestro Miguel Illescas. Welcome to Top 10 Checkmate Patterns. In this video, we are going to show what is in this video series, all the kind of mates that we were studying, and of course, we will also have a look at some very interesting checkmates which happen in some of the most beautiful games ever played. Let's start recalling what we saw in the last video. We were analyzing the Lolly's mate, a very typical mate structure with pawn on f6 and queen on g7. At the same time, we were checking all kind of checkmates with the queen on g7. This is a very useful one with the knight on f5. Always the same pattern. Also, in the previous video, we saw the Anastasia mate, queen on h7, pawn on g6, and the rook on f8. At the same time, we were studying very important checkmate patterns like the bishop and queen, the battery attacking h7, also with the knight, a very typical situation on the short castle. Well, in the previous video, we were having a look at this very typical checkmate on the long diagonal. It had different forms. We were also checking it with the rook and the bishop in a very different situations. The check from the 8th rank and rook h8 mate. And also this very famous windmill, the famous game Torre Lasker. Of course, checkmate after a few moves. Well, in previous one, we were also having a look at the attack through the open H file with different situations, different checkmates. So, in fact, in this video series, we are having a look at the all most important patterns that you need to remember, to know well, just to find this in a blitz game. This is the Arab mate, and here whether black plays and wins or white plays and wins. If it is black, then we have this typical mate construction. This is a very dangerous one with the pawn on h4, knight on g3, and the rook on the 8th rank. White king has no escape. But if it is white to play, then we have another structure which is well known as the Arab mate. Rook on h7, knight on f6. It's one of the oldest mates in chess. Well, with the rook and knight, we were also having a look at some other situations. Look at this mate, the pawn on g5, doing a very good job. And at the same time, the typical back rank mate with the help of the knight. Then also, well, I mean, there are some other mating patterns with knight and rook, like this one. Have a look at black to play, check, check, and mate. The queen is protecting the knight. But if it is white to play, also mate, check, and this beautiful sacrifice. It happens sometimes. I remember one game, very fresh game of Magnus Carlsen. He was threatening this mate. Okay, so a lot of different ideas here. Black to play, and also we were having a look at all these mating constructions against the long castle. Typical mating pattern with the bishop and rook. And on the 8th rank, we were checking a lot of different situations. This is one white to play, and we found all these ideas connected with the back rank mate. In fact, the back rank mate is one of the most important, but we were also examining the famous Lucena mate. You know it well. This is the original Lucena position. And of course, many combinations. We're speculating with the fact that the king has no escape. This is known as the corridor mate or back ranks mate. And finally, also, we paid attention in the first video to all these opening mates like the scholar's mate. Today, what we are going to do is to check some of the most beautiful checkmate combinations which happen in modern games. A lot of videos were dealing with the immortal game, Andersen Kieseritsky, the evergreen game, but we will focus on some more modern, and some of them I'm sure you will enjoy a lot because not so well known, but still incredibly beautiful. Let's start with one of the games which is maybe considered the best game of all times. This is the position which happened in the game Kasparov-Topalov, played in Holland in vacancy 1999. Well, Kasparov at that time was playing wonderfully, and his rating was 28-12. And in this game, in fact, I mean, it was like a miracle because everything went so smooth, it looks like study, in fact. White to play here, and we can see that it's equal material, but black is going to get this poor pawn, which is isolated in enemy's territory. But Gary, he had anticipated this situation, and he had prepared a beautiful sacrifice. Look at this move. Rook takes d4. He's giving a rook, and black could play something else, but in the game black took. Topalov got the challenge, and then after this fantastic check, now the black king has to start the march, because it's impossible to take, because then it's a very typical mate. All these kind of mates that we were learning through this course. After check, the king came to b6, and the point is that now after queen d4 check, black has nothing better than to take on a5. Topalov, he knew that he was going for it, and he knew that his king is going to be in a very dangerous situation on a4, but he still thinks that he can take the pawn on d5 and in that way give some coverage to his king. In fact, after queen c3, white is training queen b3 mate, and here we reach one of the first beautiful positions. In the game, Topalov took with the queen, but it was interesting to see what would happen if bishop takes d5. Can you find the mate? It's forced mate white to play and win, and you need to find a very nice move. Of course, this is not a typical checkmate pattern. This is not what we were studying in this video series, but still incredibly beautiful. And it may happen in a real game, like it is Kasparov-Topalov. Okay, the move is king b2, yeah. And black takes the rook, and then queen b3 check. Look at this. So nice, made with the pawn. This is not happening every day. But in the game, Topalov took with the queen, and now it's not so easy, because if king b2, then black has queen d4. And the king is in danger, but not immediately mated. In the game, Kasparov played rook a7, showing that the black king has he's vulnerable in two different ways, through the mate on b3 and also mate on a6. What to play with black here? Now we can see that black has some problems, because he can protect the pawn with the rook, but after rook d6, then we have the move king b2. Again, queen b3 is a threat, and if queen d4, then we see that black rook is doing too much work protecting a6 and protecting d4, so it would be checkmate. In the game, Topalov went bishop b7, and now, of course, white can take this bishop, but at the same time, he's losing tempi, attacking the pawn on a6. So black is, be careful, because black is still a rook up, a full rook, but amazingly, it's not easy to offer a good move, because, of course, queen takes b7 is impossible, and a normal move like rook e8, in this position after rook b7, rook e8, just to play rook e1 check. This was very interesting, but now white has a very powerful move, rook b6. Again, the threat is rook a6, and if black tries to protect, we can see a slow attack, amazing, bishop f1, and it's impossible to play with black. I mean, rook e6, take, and king b2, and queen b3 check is coming on the next move. So it's amazing that after rook e8, white is winning with a slow attack due to the very bad position of the king on a4. In the game, Topalov went with queen c4, which looks natural, just to trade queens. But white, in this case, takes on f6, and he regains material. It's now only exchange down, and at the same time, again, threatening mate with queen a6. One very interesting line here is rook d1 check. This didn't happen in the game. In the game, Topalov took on a3. But let's have a look what would happen after check king b2. Black has here several possibilities. One is to trade queens, but now it shows that white is much better because, in fact, material is already equal, and there are too many threats against the black king. White is more active, and the position is completely winning. So it's slightly better to play first rook a8. And now, how to win with white? It's not so simple, but with the help of the computer, we find the winning move queen b6. The mate on a5 is coming, so black has to trade queens. And now, amazing move, because now if rook f7, a5, and the king escapes, and well, it's not so easy to prove white's advantage. But after the beautiful, precise move bishop d7, after some analysis, you will see that black is completely lost. I mean, black, in fact, can only wait, and it has to be always careful that the bishop comes to b3, and he can barely move. I mean, if the rook goes, then it's rook a7, sorry, bishop b5 coming. I mean, something like this. Look at this beautiful idea, check and mate. So black is tied up, and white is going to push his pawns and finally find a way to bring the bishop to the diagonal d1, a4. So this didn't happen in the game, which had a beautiful finish after king a3, check, king b4, and here white to play and win. Of course, this is hunting the enemy's king, and all kind of checks have to be considered. In this case, the winning move is c3 check. After king takes, a precise check on a1. This is an amazing game. Check. If the king comes to e5, then rook e7 is winning. So Topalov played king d1, trying to, but okay, he's just one move of victory. With queen d3 check, he would be winning with black, in fact. But now it comes another amazing move in this incredible game, bishop f1. Now, of course, the bishop is untouchable, because if take, check, and mate. So after bishop f1, what to do? Because it's mate. Queen d4, queen e2 mate, queen e6, queen c1 mate. Topalov, he found an interesting move, rook d2, trying to go for some endgame. And here it comes a beautiful golden end to this fantastic game. Can you find the winning move for white? Yeah, Kasparov, he had a very inspiring day. He played rook d7, deviation, and now it's clear the game is over. I mean, he's trying mate on d2, rook takes b2 is impossible, so this is the only move, but now take, and take on h8. And it's game over. Okay, incredible game, one of the best in chess history, and with a lot of checkmate ideas, with the king on the cage, black king on the cage. Let's have a look at some of the games, maybe not so well known. This mate construction I particularly like, which happened in this game, Gata Kamsky, Peter Svidler. This is a fresh game, one of the best of the year 2011. It was played in the FIDE World Cup in Khanty-Mansiysk. Well, in this position, Kamsky played natural move knight c6. He's trying to win exchange, and if black takes on c6, probably white is much better after queen c6. A lot of ideas, a lot of threats, pair of bishops, and it looks like white is doing quite well. But after knight c6, Svidler went queen h4. An amazing move, given the rook. Kamsky took knight takes b8, and here it came a fantastic move by Peter Svidler. Here you can see that the mating idea I want to show you is this delicate move, queen g3. The bishop is spinning the pawn on f2, and the other bishop is attacking on g2, so checkmate looks unavoidable. But white would have a defense, knight c6. cutting the diagonal for the bishop, and it's not easy to find a move for black here. But in the game, it's amazing. He found a beautiful move. Look at this, rook e2, giving the second rook in sacrifice. And the point is that after queen takes e2, black plays queen g3, and now the mate is unstoppable. Queen g2 mate coming, knight c6 take, bishop d5 take, finally queen g2 coming. No checks, queen e8, knight e8. So after rook e2, black is probably winning. White played, Kamsky went queen c3, but now rook f2, and the attack is impossible to stop. In the game went knight c6, and okay, this is game over. He went rook check and take, winning immediately. But well, chess is a precision game. I mean, let me show you something. In this position, if we would play queen g3, knight c6, and rook e2, just to make sure that after take bishop c6 is made, it would not be the same, because black has queen c3, sorry, white has queen c3, and you can see things are not so much the same. In fact, the game would be pretty equal after take, 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 and it's a real mess. So let's have a look at another checkmate construction in a very famous game, Aronian Anand. This I would like to see from the black's point of view. This is a famous game played in 2013 in YKZ in Tata Steel tournament. Vichy he prepared, this was an opening preparation, but at this point he forgot his analysis. He admitted after the game that everything was prepared at home. It was a sacrifice of the pawn on h7, but here he didn't well remember what was going on, but he found beautiful way to organize a checkmate. All the point is that the queen wants to come to h4, but now the bishop is attacking on g4, so this would yield black nothing. Here Anand thought at the beginning that he would have this move check and knight h2. We know these mating constructions, king takes, queen h4 mate, but the problem is that black has no good move after knight g5. White is also threatening his own checkmate on h7. You see how important it is to remember to know all these mating ideas, because they will happen all the time in your games. So Anand, instead of bishop d4 check, he found a very beautiful move. He, in fact, after the game in his annotations, he says, if there is a single move of which I am really proud, it is move 16, knight de5. You can see such a beautiful move. What is the idea? The point is that now black is giving coverage to his knight in a way that if white takes, then he will be able to take knight g4, keeping a very important knight there, which will help the queen to complete the attack with queen h4. At the same time, if if white takes f takes e5, then we were having a look at these checkmate patterns in one of these videos, in this video series. Do you remember? Yes, the Lucena's mate. Check. You found it? Congratulations. You know, you see, it happens in real games. So, of course, both Aronian and Anand, they saw this line. That's why, in fact, another line with the same idea is d takes c5, because then check and check. And here we know this checkmate pattern that we were studying in our previous videos, you see. And of course, if rook f2, then queen f2, and g2 is impossible to defend. The bishop and the queen, also queen e1 mate. So too many mating threats. In the game, Aronian played bishop takes g4, check, and knight g4. Now black is ready to jump with the queen, and this is going to be checkmate. Here Anand mentions the famous game Rodlewy-Ramenstein with these attacking ideas that we were checking also in our videos. Now in the game, white took on f8, and now we can see the threat check, check, and trade queens. But Vichy played a beautiful move, wonderful. And okay, this was really bad luck for Aronian, because Vichy had this inspiration. Look at this move, f5, cutting the way for the queen to h7. And now after f5, knight g6, if knight e6, then we have queen h4 and mate. This we know, all these checkmate patterns we were checking in different videos. And after knight g6, a very slow attack, queen f6. And the point is that if knight e5, then knight h2. And this is only move, but winning. And Aronian went h3, but then take. And Anand says that it's interesting that black is attacking very slowly, queen f6, queen g6, queen h5, but black pieces are so powerful that there is nothing white can do about it. In fact, in the game, queen h5, now queen h3 is a threat, and the game finished with a beautiful move, bishop e3, and now queen h3 is coming. So here, Aronian resigned. One of the best games in Vichy Anand's career, and this was awarded the best game of year 2013 for the magazine, Russian magazine 64. Okay, so let's have a look at some other checkmate in an incredible game which was played in China, one of the best games of the year 2017, played by Bai Jinshi versus Ding Lideng. The strong Chinese Grand Master, after knight e5, he went for a queen sacrifice with pawn takes e3. Take, check. And here the white player made a mistake. The best move was rook d2, which was not easy at all. The point is bishop d2, king takes d2, and if rook d8, bishop d3. This was difficult. Take, check, and take. And suddenly, okay, the game is maybe equal. I mean, strange variation, probably white is slightly better. But of course, it was very difficult to calculate all these complications. White played king e2, maybe a bit more ambitious, just to eliminate, to make sure he eliminates this dangerous pawn. But now black found a way to organize a very strong attack. He's using the fact that the white pieces on the king side are not yet developed, and after the move knight a4, which is very important, the white king is forced to go to open space where he's going to be under heavy fire. Well, I like very much this next move. It's very difficult. You can try to play black plays and win. It's not easy. These checkmate patterns, it's difficult to study. I mean, we can only enjoy. But if something like this happens in your own game, you need to calculate all lines, because you will not have useful patterns to help you mate a king on the center. This is really something weird. So let's just enjoy of this incredible masterpiece by Chinese Grandmaster Li Ding. Rook d4, it's an amazing move. He wants to play g4 and mate. So, of course, knight c6, it's mate in one move. And if e takes d4, knight d4, and knight c2 check, so black is winning. White played, after rook d4, played h3, trying to stop. And now another amazing move, h5. Black still wants to play g4. So now there is no time for development because it's mate. And then white had to make room for his king, trying to escape with bishop h2 just to be able to play king g3. But let's not forget that white is a queen up, and also a lot of pieces are hanging. I mean, so the game is still quite interesting and amazing. Now the next move, if check, knight e4, king f4, and suddenly maybe white is better, because he is much ahead in material. But in the game, Li Deng found a beautiful move, rook d2. And now the queen is forced to leave if queen f2, knight e4 check. Of course, then the queen has not so many squares. Played queen b3. And now after check, the king has to go to h4, because if king f4, it's very fast checkmate. We can see all black pieces attack the poor guy in the center. So by Jinshi, he tried to escape with his king, but now we will see that the poor white king, you remember in this Kasparov-Topalov game, okay, this is more or less the same, but in the other wing. And now after king g7, the bishop is developing to f5, and rook h8 is going to be checkmate. So now we see the last moves, white trying to survive, but really Liren played very well this game, and the last precise move, we need to find black to play and win here, and the move is rook f2. The point is that after queen takes c6 or rook or a8, knight g3 is checkmate. Okay, in the game bishop g5, rook h8, coming back with the same idea, and finally an incredible checkmate with all pieces. Only black queen is missing, the rest of the pieces helping in the attack. Incredible, and one of the best games of year 2017, as I said before. Okay, we have just a couple of more examples, and in this one we will see Cheparinov Navarra played in Crete 22, I mean it was, I think, yeah, championship 2007, and this is probably a martial attack, Rui Lopez, I guess, and we will see a very interesting checkmate ideas in this game. First, it looks like black is in trouble, because the powerful a2 bishop, white is trying knight h6, knight f7 check, and it looks not easy to offer anything for black. But in this game, Navarra went h5, so he made room for his king on h7. And now it was difficult. It's difficult to, I mean, a bit unfair to criticize Cheparinov for his decision, because he played something which looks completely winning. Analyzing with computers, we can see that the best was to go for an endgame equal, take, 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 and something like this. Black has good compensation for the pawn, and the game is probably equal. But in the real game, Cheparinov went check. You will see a very beautiful combination. Check, king h6 is the only move. Bishop d2, attacking the knight. Bishop d6 is kind of forced, and now bishop f7. This looks completely winning, because queen g6 mate threatened, queen h5 mate, and also bishop takes e8. It looks like black can only do something, I don't know what, no checks, just a position to resign. But would you resign this position with black, or would you find something brilliant here? And this is what happened in the game, an amazing move by David Navarra, black to play. Beautiful queen sacrifice, queen f2 check. The point is that black had only one minor piece, will have one minor piece for the queen, but after check he will take on d2, and then he will have a knight and a bishop for the queen, but no checks. And we will see that now the king, which is really in danger, it is the white king. Now king g1, he took on g2, took on d2. There are some other lines. You will find the PGN with annotations. And here, well, I think Stasnik commentates this game for ChessBase Mega database, and I think it's a bit unfair, because the move which is saving white, it's incredibly difficult in my opinion. I think Cheparinov played natural move bishop g8, trying to create some checks for his queen, and he lost after bishop g2 check, check, bishop f3, because these checks go nowhere. I mean, check here, and if queen g7, king h4, and the king is in fact coming to f2, and there are no more checks. So in the game, white has really nothing to play here. He went rook a2, and now it's made in few moves. Check. If king c1, then we have check, and a typical standard mate. Beautiful. And if king e1, then check, check, and the back rank mate, which we know well. So what was the move saving white here? You can try to find it. White to play and save the game. Well, it was the only other way to create a threat, which is h4. In that way, white has a check on g5. And this is extremely important because in this line, after queen g5 check, we have queen f5 check, and it's a perpetual. White has this check on c8. If king h8, we have queen c8 check. And if g6, white is probably winning after bishop g6. So the best thing black can do is king h6, and then it's a draw with queen g5. But it was very difficult, you know. We can see these mating patterns without queens are extremely difficult, and of course impossible to remember, but just it's good that you have these ideas so you can create some beautiful combinations if you ever have the opportunity. It will not be easy anyway. Okay, let me show you last game, which was the best game of year 2018. It was played in Russia in Koshnoy Memorial Open St. Petersburg by two not so well-known players, Paravian with white, Golubov with the black pieces. Let me show you the full game because it's quite interesting. It was a Russian defense, Petrov, and white went for a dubious line with queen b3, which is not very popular. Black, I think, equalizes quite easily in this line because he gets a very good development, trading one piece. And okay, in this position, I have the feeling that black has equalized. But okay, Paravian played well, queen d3, keeping the queens on the board just to try to have some pressure with knight e5 on the center, whatever. And well, I think here black should give priority to development. Some move like bishop g4, I think. And if knight e5, rook d8. And okay, this position looks pretty equal in my opinion. If knight takes, it's true black gave the pair of bishops, but okay, d4 is weak, h2 is weak, b2 is weak. There are many ideas, and I have the feeling that black is doing very fine. But in the game, Golubov played queen b2. This is extremely dangerous. He's delaying development, and we will see that after a very precise play from white, black was immediately in trouble. Rook b1, queen c2, and now we see that the queen is a bit with some problems. In fact, after see what happened in the game, I would suggest here to play b5 immediately, just to have the queen coming back to black's territory. But in the game, he went knight d5, which looks natural, but we will see that now he gets in trouble immediately. You see, you should try to find here the right moves for white. This is a very good exercise. I mean, try to figure out how to play. Look, it's very pretty forced. Look, rook b3, now take, and knight g5. Fantastic. The point is that now queen h7 mate is a threat. We were studying this pattern. And after g6, we have this trick, knight h7. Look, the queen is hanging, and after rook h3 check, if king takes, black is going to be lost. So Golubov has some troubles, but maybe he calculated and he thought that he has the move bishop f5. It's equal pawns, and now if the queen goes away, he can maybe take on h7. Now it's amazing because white found some brilliant moves. I don't know if everything was calculated, but the fact is that he got a incredible strong attack after check, and a beautiful move. Can you find it? Check. Incredible. I mean, the bishop again is untouchable. If king takes h6, rook h3 check, and the queen is hanging. So black king. If king h8, it's also lost because we have again, this checkmate pattern, amazing, with knight, bishop, and rook, very difficult. Okay, so black was forced to take on f6, and now an incredible move which made this game the best of the whole year 2018. How to play with white. Can you find here a mating pattern? This, of course, not easy. The move is g4, amazing move. Probably queen d2 was also not bad, I mean, because the king is in a very bad situation here. And but okay, the move in the game is stronger and of course much more beautiful. Look, g4. If black takes the queen, it comes mate after check and g5. This is something which will not happen in your games, I'm sure, but still we can enjoy of the creativity of this player Parabian. After g4, it's amazing because black found a very, well, if bishop takes g4, then it's simply queen d2 and mate is coming very fast. And the question is that after g4, black played bishop f4. And suddenly it looks not so easy, because if bishop takes f4, now the queen is hanging and black can escape with the king to g7. So how to play with white pieces? And well, again, an amazing move. As I said, this was one of the most brilliant games of the 21st century. Can you find the move for white? Beautiful. Queen c7, incredible. The queen offers sacrifice. Of course, it's untouchable, because if bishop takes c7, then g5 is mate again. And of course, there is no time for something like queen b3, because queen e7 mate is a threat. So in the game, black played bishop h6, but now check. And the king is in white's camp. It's going to be mated very soon. But still, it's not so easy. I mean, if we take the bishop, which looks completely winning, it's not. It's amazing, but it's not. I mean, the king escapes, and there is no mate, and maybe only perpetual check with rook h3 and rook g3. So it's not so easy. And the move played in the game, it's immediately winning, very strong, h4. It's a mating network. Black king is trapped, and there is no escape. I mean, if king g4 check, and king g2, rook h1 is coming. All these things we know well, because we were checking a lot of combinations in this video series. In the game after h4, he took king h4, but now same ideas. A beautiful move, rook h3. If king takes queen g3, mate, the kiss mate. And after king g5, it came in the game. Queen e7 check, and black resigned. It's mate in few moves. If king g4, queen h4, checkmate. So we saw that the power of the queen in the attack is enormous. So most of the mates that we were checking in this course were mainly with the queen. The second, more dangerous piece, the rook, with all these background mates. But we saw also mates with bishop, pawn, and knight in this video series. I hope you enjoyed all these games. I have the feeling that we were covering the most important checkmates that you need to know. And I'm sure you will somehow use them in your own games. That's all. Thank you so much. Gran Maestro Miguel Illescas at your service.